Millions.
Millions. I want to make sure everybody heard it. Muscles and
It's
millions.
the Bronx coming outside.
Go ahead.
Millions. So my question to you, Gary Vee, is we noticed that you put a video up regarding hashtag BizDevSunday.
Yes.
We sent the email. Can you expand on that, and how do we get you to work with us, and how do we get endorsements? Like, what do we need to do?
So I'll try to make this a learning moment for everybody.
Thank you.
So I think, I'm a big fan of jab, 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 right hook. I'm able to duck, right hook, right hook, right hook, right hook. And so I think the biggest way for me to do things is when I feel like there's value in return. I couldn't imagine what you're living through. I think the biggest way to get somebody who's got more leverage than you do is to disproportionately bring them value to even the score to make something happen.
We DM'd you, and I offered you tons of shirts and hats and stuff, and you never responded.
Right. I'll tell you why. Because everybody did that.
So now I'm here, and I'm
All right, we gotta go on to the next question.
I think it's about bringing value. Your t-shirts bring me no value. So you need to figure out what brings me value, and then you have a shot of executing.
So we always teach that it's really what's in it for the person you're pitching, no matter what you're pitching. Whether you're waking up in the morning trying to get into the bathroom for your husband or wife, you're trying to get your child on the school bus, and you're saying, please, I'll take you to Chuck E. Cheese, you just get on the school bus right now. It's always what you're pitching. We all get pitched that type of stuff, but you have to find a way to bring value. And honestly, you most likely will see him again and again and again if you're persistent, but the day that he feels you're going to be successful with or without him and you can bring him value, then it's worth the conversation.
I think tenacity is way more commoditized than people think.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people hustling. It's a value exchange game. The reason I've popped and have this fan base is there's a lot of people saying hustle. There's a lot of people putting out content. I'm disproportionately trying to bring more value in detail and motivation and effort and engagement. And I do answer a ton of DMs, but I answered DMs the entire 6-hour flight yesterday from Instagram. I didn't even get close because I'm one dude and nobody's replying as me because that's not me. Nobody's replying as me. You ever get a wink or a hello or I can't wait to see you? That's me.
I'll give you one last one before we go. When I used to have shirts like that and I couldn't get an artist to wear them, I would put the artist's crew and their name on it, and then I would send it to them, and it was a collabo with us, and I would tell them, take all the proceeds, and I'll sell it to them, take all the proceeds and give it to your favorite charity.
And when he did it, the supply and demand of lifestyle brands was much lower. It was more expensive to do it. It was harder. He figured it out. The amount of people that have some fucking saying on a t-shirt right now is unlimited. So you've got a real fucking challenge because the supply and demand of your game has gotten much worse.
All right. Next question.
This is a question for both Gary.
And then we'll go to
Both Gary and Damon, whichever one wants to answer. But I work with a lot of young entrepreneurs through Venture for America, and the one issue is I'm curious how you guys judge when you're working on a new business or you're investing in a new founder. How do you know when to tell them to give up, or how do you know yourself when to give up? Because you want to be consistent, you want to keep working and figuring it out. So what's your solution?
I want to expand on that with that question for Gary. I want to know exactly that, and I also want to know, when you're working with them, what do you instill in them as well when they're on their path? So when do you tell them to give up? And what do you say, you need to do this every day?
So I think the key is to not be consistent. Because you can't give consistent feedback for everybody. Like, I want to give feedback based on what I was feeling there, but I might feel something different here. The key is, I found that somebody is either impatient or too patient. And so that's always a key for me. Like, some people are romantic, and some people are not romantic at all. And so I think I'm usually pushing in the other direction where they're over-indexing, because that usually tends to happen in the balance of what they need. Some people are just going to hold on. So, so I just did a show, right, with Apple. We were doing these apps, so I mentored people. It was a little bit different. We had to be like the voice. We had to coach them. This one girl just didn't want to hear it from me. I'm like, you're not going to win. Like, this is not going to happen. I mean, I'm going to be right or wrong, but I was pushing her to be. She was so romantic and in outer space, but she didn't want to let go, right? On the flip side, there was other people that were kind of rocky. I'm like, no, you got something, and pushed towards it. So the truth is, when I look at young entrepreneurs, I don't give blanket advice. I give individual advice of the moment of where they are and what their business is doing to really give advice.
Have you had a business where you decided that, you know what, it's time to give up, this is not working? Like, what was that inflection point for you?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of side businesses. Like, I've only really run 2 core businesses, Wine Library and VaynerMedia. Those are the only ones I've ever really gone all in on. But yeah, I mean, I've started side projects. I did a thing called Vayner Toys, or this whole eBay flip challenge I tried to do with buddies, like Cork, the wine social network. I have jumped off of businesses that I owned a big piece of, but I wasn't the operator. I haven't done it when I've been the operator. I've seen them through. So I haven't had that exact, I'm the guy steering the ship, and I have to jump off. I haven't had that experience. But I also don't build businesses for anything other than forever. Biggest problem with a lot of people in here, and the reason they will lose, the single reason they will lose, is from the day they start their business, they're building it to sell. They want the money. That's why they lose.
Thank you.
Thanks. So what do you think the future is of advertising and influencers, between influencers coming in? What recommendations would you have for young influencers in their different markets?
I think influencer marketing is going to have an incredible golden era of a decade. I think we're in the beginning of it, and I'm very fond of it. I think it's underpriced. I think the top is overpriced. So the people that move quickest and have big audiences, I think, are overpriced because people think they're more valuable than they are. You got to look at engagement. A lot of people have a million fans on Instagram, but they don't really have a community, things like that. But word of mouth always worked.
Right.
So I'm very bullish. My recommendation is don't run around saying that you're an influencer. Think about how to bring value to your audience, create influence, and then monetize it. Again, we are living through the greatest era of, again, you just put it on your profile and you think you're it. That's like me putting on my profile right now, basketball player. Cool, but I'm not getting paid by the Knicks. Right? And so like, just saying you're an like the amount of accounts that like hit me up on DM, like, yo, I'm an influencer, I click it, I'm like, you have 800 people following me. Right. Yeah, but, I'm like, no. You're not an influencer, by definition of anybody's influence. So if you have that in your profile, put a word in front of it, aspiring influencer. But I'm very bullish on it.
Great.
I think it's underpriced right now. I also see, because it's human beings, a scenario where in 2 or 3 years it's going to be grossly overpriced. You just have to follow the market. Right now it's underpriced.
All right, we're gonna take one more from the in-house audience. Ted?
Thanks. My question is scalability in regards to people.
Yes,
Right, so
tough.
That's my pain point right now. We've gone a great almost 9 years now, and we've hit a spot. I can't find good people. You invest in people, and that's one of your things.
Are you the decision maker?
Yes.
I
I
think
work with
that's
a lot of
true.
agencies as well.
I think
They
that's
all
true.
went to Vayner.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've seen you acquire great people just from the
Yep.
people that I work with.
Okay.
That's my pain point. So what do you do? Because none of the sites work.
Yeah,
So
great.
it's networking.
How many people do you interview for every person that you hire? What's the rough number you think?
At least 10 to 12.
So it sounds like you're just gonna have a funnel problem, because that's not that bad.
Yeah.
So here's my
Take
answer.
Fordesk Blueprint, you'll find people here.
Awesome. I really think that people's flaw is, so one of the reasons I think we've been successful is I'm not crippled by hiring. I focus on firing. So I think way too many people are fancy and think that they're so good at hiring. Everybody's got this dream that they're so good at hiring. I think I have unbelievable EQ skills and people intuition. I think it's actually all I've got, and I've mishired a ton. So I think too many people are fancy in their hiring. They have this bullshit self-esteem within themselves that they're good at it. So my answer to you is to, if your number's 1 out of 12 and you can't get more in, I would just hire 3 out of 12. Because I think people will surprise you. My model is more of Vayner gets the most out of you, and thus if you're a B, you'll be a B plus with me. I'm also not crippled. You know, I think you need B's and C's, and like, you know, I love when people, my friends are like, how do you get your employees to care as much as you? I'm like, I don't. The fuck should an employee care as much as I do? It's my business. They need to care about their life.
Do you bring in the B's and C's and make them A's?
Sometimes. And sometimes I think
70%
they're.
of my staff started as interns at one time or another, and in college, of course. And I don't look for the perfect person in the door. I want them to come in and fit in a perfect way, but they're going to come in with their flaws. That's what I find.
I would say that also everybody's definition of an A is different. You know, I would just be more optimistic. I mean that. It's a funny little switch of optimism versus cynicism and pessimism on the hiring front that could really work for you. And I think then it puts pressure on you to be better. You know, I know that have less of a filter in, which puts pressure on us to be better at giving them opportunity to succeed. Plus, once they're in, we spend most of the first 3 to 6 months auditing them and then reverse engineering them and putting them in the best position to succeed, because not everybody does everything well. I genuinely believe that I work for everybody that works for me, not the other way around.
We're gonna take 2 questions from live streaming.
Yep, so if people still have questions, use the hashtag #BlueprintGaryV. That's Gary V. 2 weeks.
So good at branding, I created my username with 2 silent fucking
You guys. Okay, I just wanted to come talk really fast. They're gonna finish up Q&A. That was all we were allowed to film. We took a last-minute flight to New York just to come to this event with Daymond John and Gary Vaynerchuk. So that's what's happening right now, and I'm using YouTube Mobile Live at the same time, so it's like crazy because I've never done this yet. I know this is a little bit different than what we usually do, and I'm sorry for the F-bombs, but Gary is one of a kind, and he was kind enough to put his quote on the front cover of my book, so I wanted to share him with you. If you have not seen him yet, go tweet him at GaryV on Twitter and let him know I sent you. And thank you so much for watching. We're literally in New York for like 12 hours. Because why not? Subscribe for good vibes. Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you soon.